cannot take this anymore. Saying everything I said before. All these words, they make no sense. I find bliss in ignorance. Less I hear, the less you say. You'll find that out anyway. Just like before. Everything you say to me says me one step closer to the edge, and I'm about to break. I need a little room to break, 'cause I'm one step closer to the edge. I'm about to break. I find the answers aren't so clear. Wish I could find a way to disappear. All these thoughts, they make no sense. I found bliss in ignorance. Nothing seems to go away. Over and over again. Just like before. Everything you say to me says me one step closer to the edge, and I'm about to break.
Need a little room to. Oh, what is going on, guys? Welcome to Career Retrospective of Off the Top Media. In one of our most anticipated episodes that us here at Off the Top Media, Rivet City Radio, have been looking forward to. Unfortunately, tonight, Nate is out sick. I am your host, Shadow. Joining me tonight, Metal Mike and Sean B. What is going on, guys?
What is up? I'm excited for this one. Super excited for this one.
Debuting a new first look for tonight's episode. Had to do it for my boy Chester.
Yeah, it's going to be an emotional roller coaster episode. Now, we all know how the show kicks off. Nate goes over the outline with everybody. I don't want to do it tonight. I've graciously asked Mike to be the speaker of this. So, Mike, when you're ready, take it away.
Alrighty, so just to give y'all a trigger warning here, there will be discussions of drug use, sexual assault, and suicide in this podcast. If you are sensitive to these topics, please leave now. So to get started with information here on Chester Bennington. Chester was born in Phoenix, Arizona on March 20th, 1976. Bennington was born to a mother who was a nurse and a father who was an investigator of child sex abuse crimes. Citing Depeche Mode and Stone Temple Pilots as inspiration, he always longed to be a musician and dreamed of becoming a member of Stone Temple Pilots. More on that later. From age 7 to roughly 13, Bennington was repeatedly sexually assaulted by an older male friend, keeping it a secret from the entire time. He eventually informed his father years later, but chose not to press charges. His parents were divorced when he was 11, and this impact of that, along with the continued sexual abuse, led Bennington into a deep depression at an early age. In high school, Bennington began abusing alcohol, LSD, cocaine, meth, opioids, and other street drugs. At age 17, his mother discovered his drug use and confined him to the house at all times unless at school. Shortly after high school, he began to pursue a music career, forming bands called Sean Dowdell and His Friends and Gray Days. He then met a group that went by the name Zero and later by the name Hybrid Theory in the year 2000. They again changed their name to Linkin Park and released their first album titled Hybrid Theory after the band's previous moniker. Linkin Park consisted of Chester Bennington at lead vocals, Mike Shinoda, who was a producer and co-lead vocals, Brad Delson, who was the guitarist, Dave Farrell, who was on bass, Joe Hahn, who was the DJ, and Rob Borden, who was on drums. From the year 2000 to 2017, they released 7 studio albums and sold over 100 million while producing several chart-topping hits. Linkin Park is the only artist with 2 songs on Spotify's timeless list, with Numb and In the End cracking the top 10. From 2013 to 2015, Bennington achieved his dreams of joining Stone Temple Pilots, serving as their lead singer in this time period. Despite Linkin Park's overwhelming success, Bennington's depression was such a roller coaster that it still plagued him throughout the years. In May of 2017, Chester Bennington's best friend and lead singer of Soundgarden and Audioslave died by suicide. Barely 2 months later, Bennington would also commit suicide at the age of 41, leaving behind a wife, 6 children, and millions of fans around the world. Gentlemen, that is some of much information on Chester Bennington. So,
it's a lot to digest when you really go into the thick of things. A career in music spanning, give or take, 22 years. It wasn't very long in the retrospective things. In the music industry, it's more than most. The longevity is a huge thing, and Linkin Park and Chester and Mike and Chester, them two, kept rejuvenating Linkin Park with the times. And it's a tribute to them. And then when Chris died, it really started to mess with Chester. And I'm not quite sure if Heavy was written before or after he passed.
So Heavy was actually written. I think they were in the process of writing that record and finalizing that record, because that record, I believe, came out in May of 2017. They only did
You're
a
right.
couple European tours, and before Chester died, they actually had a tour put together, ready to do during the summertime, going into the fall, with Blink-182 and Machine Gun Kelly.
I completely whiffed on that part.
Yeah, and we actually didn't get that tour. They actually canceled that whole tour. There was talks, it was short-term talks of Blink-182 and Machine Gun Kelly just going out with each other, but those talks kind of died off really quick, just due to the fact that they felt like it would have been a little bit of, not a disrespect, but also Linkin Park was supposed to be on that tour. It was a co-headliner with Blink-182.
It's hard to move forward when that was the billeted first ticket, right?
Yeah. So for them to even think of even bringing somebody else on as a third band would have been like a disservice,
Right. I don't know if either of you remember. I remember the tribute show they did for Chester. I believe it was in California.
Yeah. It was at the Hollywood Bowl. Yep. It was a 3.5-hour show.
Dude,
I remember that show like it was yesterday.
Y'all know me. I'm a Bray Wyatt fan. But before Bray Wyatt hurt, my inside feelings about it, Chester was the first person to really hurt me when he died. Because other than family. Because for me, in my childhood, when I played hockey, getting through things of my own that I need to get through, Linkin Park was always there. And Chester's voice was so calming.
Yeah, I actually a little bit of a personal thing. Some of you guys may not have known this, but I was a drummer for 20 years. I played the drums for 20 years. Because of my back issues, I had to retire from doing so. The band that I played in from early 2004 until 2009, I also did back vocals. Chester was actually one of my idols. I didn't try to base my vocals off of him, but I did study his, how he progressed with his vocals, how he did his vocals. I studied it because I felt like some of our songs that we wrote and songs that we did, I felt like, not try and mimic him, but kind of have that feeling of with a back vocal tone, try and
often impersonated, never replicated.
Yes. Thank you. Couldn't have said it any better myself. Yeah, but he was a huge idol of mine. Scouts, that's awesome that your daughter plays drums. That's awesome. Keep at it. I'll say this. Well, if I had to give any advice to any drummers, and I'm sorry to get off topic here for a second, if I had to give any advice to any drummers, keep at it. It is a frustrating instrument because you have to have so much concentration, and you're moving, 4 body parts at once. Whether you're running a double kick pedal, whether you're running a single kick pedal, you're still using your left foot. If you're a lefty, you're using your right foot. You're using your other foot for your kick drum. You're using both hands.
Friend of the show and the network, Burning Bridges, the drummer is one of my best friends, and I've seen what he does, and I'm like, I don't know how you do it. Like, I'm just watching his coordination, and I can't even focus on titties, let alone.
I will say this, that I tried to venture into guitar when we hit the pandemic, because December 2019 is when I said, this is it. I can't drum no more. And then in January of 2020, January 2021, I gave it a year and gave it some thought, like, what instrument can I get involved in? I want to play an instrument. I tried guitar, and I'll say this, my hat's off to guitarists everywhere, because I couldn't do it. I couldn't, as much as I tried, I couldn't do it.
Sean, any thoughts?
Yeah, like when I was in high school and middle school and stuff, I actually never recorded anything, but I wrote music just to pass the time. And like, I kind of like based my songs off of like a mixture of rock and rap, like a mixture, because I like how it blends well. Like, I'm gonna say right here, my favorite album, one of my favorite albums from Linkin Park is them collabing with Jay-Z, because you have Linkin Park and Jay-Z, and they just, like, I don't like Jay-Z now, obviously. I don't like him, whatever. But back then, Jay-Z and Linkin Park just meshed so well together with their songs. And, like, it's just the replayability of that album is just fucking fantastic. And
no, I mean, it still tests. I think it's Numb.
Yeah,
that they did together. It still stands the test of time.
Numb Encore.
And Encore too. Like, you can't. As much as I hear more like rock and rap collabs together, you just don't get that same chemistry that Linkin Park and Jay-Z had together, because Chester has such a distinct like style to him, and obviously Mike Shinoda has the rock and rap, too. So it just blended well together.
I got into Linkin Park because the hey man, doesn't matter when you got on board. The fact is you appreciate the sound of Linkin Park.
Exactly. Their song in Transformers was fucking fantastic. Like, it made the movie, to me, so much better.
And I meant Encore, not Numb. I got Numb on my brain.
Well, Numb Encore was the name of the song. It was Numb Encore for the mashup. So
right. And maybe I just
99.
I just love the sound, right? Like, it doesn't matter. Like, I could get lost. Like I was telling you guys before we went live, my most listened to artist this year was Linkin Park, and we're in 2023, guys. And I was listening to the 20th anniversary of Meteora. Like, Hybrid Theory is still my favorite. It doesn't matter. It's their first album that really made me love them, and it's still my favorite. I have both Funko Pop cover Funkos.
So I actually got into them when they were making the transition from being called Hybrid Theory to Linkin Park, and they came out with like a little B-side record, like they had like My December on there. They had like a bunch of tracks that you don't hear on the normal studio albums. I got so around 90, actually it was like 98, 99 is when I got into them, and that was when I first got into rock and metal music. My very first album I ever owned was Disturbed's first record. That was my first record ever owned by any metal band, rock band, anything. My second record was Hybrid Theory. And I've actually had the pleasure of seeing them live 3 times on their Project Revolution tour. I seen them in 2004, and the main stage consisted of Snoop Dogg, Korn, Less Than Jake, The Used. And I'll tell you what, that was such an amazing night. Just everything that happened that whole day was just awesome, and seeing them for the first time, and just seeing them do like on the mashup, like not in the mashup, the Reanimation album that came out.
Yeah.
For One Step Closer, Jonathan Taylor's actually on that track. And One Step Closer was the last song to play that night, and Jonathan Taylor came out for that. And it was so awesome. Fast forward to 2007. That was probably, out of the 3 tours, probably my least favorite. Because My Chemical Romance really stole that tour. Which really
Well,
sucked.
MCR really kind of burst onto the scene around there and just kind of took over that scene for quite a while.
Well, I actually seen MCR when they first started in 2003. That was my second time seeing them. But they like stole that tour. You ask anybody who went to see that tour, and they will tell you 99 out of 100 people would tell you My Chemical Romance stole that tour.
You know what? One thing that, like, I know Sean's kind of really missing out on the conversation here, but the one thing, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, but the one thing I'm sad we never got, because we got it with Seether.
Yeah.
But I would have really loved to have a Linkin Park Evanescence mashups. Amy Lee and Chester would have killed any track they laid down.
Fuck yes.
I honestly agree with that. I think they would have. But if you look at the timing, Linkin Park, they just kept going strong. Evanescence, they took a long break.
Right.
They did. After they dropped, I think, their 3rd record, they took a really
they disappeared for quite a while.
Well, I think it was more so Amy Lee. I believe Amy Lee, she kicked into like motherhood mode. I believe she became a mom.
I think she hit that around 27 to so.
Yeah. And you got to think Linkin Park, I mean, they got their Hybrid Theory record was the record that really kicked them in the gear. But when they dropped their Meteora record, you knew we had something special going forward after that Meteora record. Like, people were like, oh, they're not going to be able to duplicate Hybrid Theory. Okay, well, I'm going to say this as a long-lasting Linkin Park fan that I am, if I had to choose between Hybrid Theory and Meteora, and I'll say it right here today, Meteora all day.
I'm taking Hybrid, but that's the beauty of it. They're both all-time records. Like, it doesn't matter.
Oh yeah.
There's no 1-2 with that. They're interchangeable.
If I can finish real quick, guys, I'm sorry for kind of taking over here, but 2008, I went to their Project Rev tour. I've had the huge pleasure of not only seeing Linkin Park again, obviously it's their tour, but Chris Cornell as well.
Yeah,
and this was the awesome thing.
That's big.
Just rub it in, Mike. Why don't you?
When Chris Cornell did the song Hunger Strike, Chester came out for Hunger Strike, and you can find videos of this on YouTube. Like, if you go on YouTube, you can find videos of them doing Hunger Strike together. And then when Linkin Park did Crawling, Chris came out and did Crawling with Linkin Park.
That's crazy. I mean, like, I know we got some subject matters to cover. There's a nice docket that Mr. Nate is so nice to do for us. But, like, we're having a conversation. So I'm enjoying this. I've been lucky enough to see, and me and you've had this conversation. I've been lucky enough to see them over 10 times myself. Seeing them at festivals, their own shows, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I was very fortunate enough a couple years ago. Friends of mine knew how big of a Linkin Park fan I am. Like, I am a huge fan. And I got a birthday gift. And it was an entire picture of the band signed by all of them. And that's hard to get because it's either Chester's signing or Mike signing, but to have the complete band, not many people have it. It came with letter of authenticity, everything. And like it proudly hangs. And both of you have seen my wrestling collection. It proudly hangs. There's not a spot. I always leave a spot just for that picture because it means so much to me.
It would be awesome. It would be really awesome, like, surrounding that picture, if you got the vinyls and put the covers hung up.
Oh, yeah. I gotta find those. Like I said, I have the Funko Pop covers that they did, which is awesome. As soon as they dropped, I bought them. I didn't even give a shit. I didn't think twice. I seen it. It was mine. It was one of those impulse. I'm doing it because it's them.
I pulled a fast one on people. It was really funny. I went to Florida in 2004 to Disney, and if you guys have been to Florida, they have a bunch of flea markets there, like in the Orlando, Kissimmee area, and this one flea market area, they were making T-shirts, and what you did, and this was like the start of being able to put yourself in pictures with famous people, and I put myself in a picture with Linkin Park, and I was literally hiding with them. And people thought I actually met the band in Florida. Like I got a shirt made up in a picture, and I was telling people like, "Yeah, I met the band down in Florida." I had people going for a while, and then I was like, "No, this is fake, guys. Like, I wouldn't like." Yeah.
Before we actually get into the subject matter, Sean, you said you got into them around the Jay-Z era.
Yeah.
So we're going back 20 years minimum here.
Yep.
And I know Mike and myself, we listen to them a lot, even to this day. Where do you have Linkin Park when you're listening to your everyday music?
Well, obviously, like my main genre is obviously rap music, but when I am in the gym and I'm feeling like, I don't feel like, listening to rap right now, and I need a really good pump and like whatever, I'll put on Linkin Park, I'll put on Trapped and stuff like that. So for me, pumping out like when I'm like bench pressing or something, and I'm listening to Encore, Numb, or whatever, it'll just give me the blood flowing. It's like this is a type of rock where it's like it either like can lift you up and motivate you, or like he obviously has the songs where it's like
hits you in the feels.
Yeah. So for me, it's mostly like it's my gym playlist. It's when I'm like playing Fortnite sometimes with Mikey and Sammy and them, and I just want to like feel like get in the mode for like eliminating people in Fortnite. I play some Linkin Park, or I play if I'm feeling the mood for like fucking Tech Nine or Eminem or Snoop Dogg or something. So.
Every playlist that I've made from the time I was 10 years old to this day, Numb and In the End are both on it consistently. Those are the two songs. I know they're the most. I listen to the other stuff as well, like the not so known and popular stuff, but those are the two songs I have to have on it. They're the staple in my playlists. Another quick fact before I let you go back into this, Mike, so we can get into the subjects.
Hmm?
A lot of people forget that Linkin Park did shit with Busta Rhymes.
Oh, dude.
A lot of people forget that.
I need to check that out, dude.
So
there's a song they did, and I know, Mike, because you're a big football fan, they took it on it's that song We Took It on the Road.
It's called We Made It.
We Made It. Thank you. I didn't remember it because it's not one I listen to often, but I remember them doing that. And when I was playing football in high school, and even when I was playing hockey, that was one of my go-to songs when we're on the buses to games.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing that I can actually be happy about too is Busta Rhymes was on the 2008 Project Rev tour, and I seen them perform that song too. And dude, it was just freaking.
It's
amazing.
one of their lesser known, but one of their bangers.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I remember when that song first came out. I would spend like hours listening to that song just to get Mike's rap part down.
Yeah, Mike's on another level when it comes to that, and I'm sure we'll dive into that as we go.
Oh yeah,
him alone, Mike Shinoda, his album that he did just carried a whole fucking summer for me too. Like back in the day, like him and Chester just are a perfect mix together. Like Mike Shinoda is a fucking genius. And what was it? He recently just dropped that new song with like unreleased with Chester.
Mm-hmm.
The new Linkin
There's
Park.
a bunch coming out, man. I'm excited.
Right, exactly. I had to
Because
download it as soon as it got released. Like,
I know we're really getting off the track here, but like I'm okay with it because we're talking Chester, we're talking Linkin Park. I'm excited to see what Linkin Park does because I believe in my heart of hearts that Mike and the band, they're not going to replace Chester like Queen did with Adam Lambert and taking over. They're not going to do that. They're going to leave it to stand the test of time. If they have tracks that need to be remastered, they'll probably drop those. They'll probably just keep doing these anniversary albums, which I'm cool with. Nobody, and I mean this from the deepest part of my heart, nobody will ever replicate Chester when it comes to Linkin Park.
So I did come across a little rumor thing the other day. Again, and as I always say, I don't always believe rumor things unless it's fully verified or anything like that. But I came across a rumor thing that they were starting to finally decide to go into the studio and write another record without replacing Chester. It's going to be all the original members, and nobody is replacing Chester at all. So they're basically, as far as I read, they were going to be doing a record with just Mike at vocals. Now, again, I don't know if this is officially verified or if this is true or anything like that, but it's what I read, and I got super stoked about this. I was like, I really hope this is true.
I don't want this to come to fruition, but all three of us would be stupid if we didn't say, AI is a thing now.
Yeah.
And they only need a sample of that voice.
Yeah.
And Mike could sing and do what he needs to do to get that AI going.
Yeah.
And it'd all be Chester.
So real quick, I seen Avenged Sevenfold back in 2013.
Oh, they're coming to Toronto soon. I'm trying to go.
Dude, if you go,
if I can, I'm going.
I'm telling
I'm not
you,
missing
you
it.
need to see them. Because when they played in 2013, I went to the Mayhem Festival, and Avenged Sevenfold was the headliner. And we all know Rev, the original drummer, passed away a few years earlier, right before the Nightmare album came. It was right before the Nightmare album came out. Anyways, he did back vocals on their